Today's video is presented to you by the EA Creator Network. Special thanks to EA for providing me with early access to Madden 25 so I could capture these videos. Before we get into the video, just keep in mind everything that you're about to see is a work in progress and things may change. Enjoy the video. What's going on, everybody out there? This is Popular Stranger, and we are back at you again today with another Madden 25 video. In today's video, we're going to be going over 25 gameplay tips for all you beginners out there. Maybe some of you that aren't beginners can benefit from this one as well, but we're going to cover just basically everything that you need to know jumping into the game, gameplay-wise. So let's go ahead and jump right on into the video. We're going to start with the settings menu. You can find a lot of different things that will help you on and off the field within the settings menu, and the very first one is going to be based around playbooks. So when you initially load up the game, you will likely be asked for your favorite team. You can always change that within the game options, and the same thing is going to go for your playbooks. Now, if you play a lot of just regular online head-to-head, whatever team you may choose, you can stick with that same team's playbook, but maybe you're an Eagles fan that wants to play with the 49ers playbook, you can adjust that in here. Now, this won't have any impact on Madden Ultimate Team. This is strictly just for like practice mode, play now head-to-head. I believe it'll also carry over if you play like a dynasty mode, but if you ever want to set your playbooks because you're comfortable with an offense and a defense no matter what game mode you play outside of Ultimate Team, this is where you do it. From this same settings menu, you can select the difficulty that you play on. When you're playing against the CPU, it will sometimes prompt you when you first load up to the game for your preferences, but if you ever want to change it or you never set it to begin with, this is also where you can find it. So all Madden's going to be the most difficult, Rookie's going to be the easiest, and then there's three different types of game styles: arcade, simulation, and competitive. You can read the different options or different variations of which one does to the right. Select the one that you're most comfortable with. If you play a lot of online games, it's going to be set by competitive, and then depending on the game, if you're in Madden Ultimate Team or not, it's usually either going to be all pro or all Madden. These are the most difficult but most competitive settings. There is a brand new kicking system in Madden 25 that is coming over from College Football 25, and by default you're going to be set up with the classic kicking meter. If you're not familiar with that and you plan on playing online, honestly you might not even want to be aware about the classic kicking meter, and if you are familiar with the classic kicking meter, you might want to erase it from your memory if you're going to be playing online, because with this new multimeter system, kicking is a lot more difficult. But again, if you're going to be playing in a competitive game mode setting, this is going to be the default. So I would recommend, to get used to it, to change over to the multimeter system within the settings menu. And then you have two different options. You can either tap and hold or tap and tap. Tap and hold basically means that you're selecting your accuracy, and when you press the button to select that accuracy, you want to hold it down to also select the distance. Once you get to the long distance meter, you would let go of that button. If you don't want to go that route, you can tap and tap, which means you press it once for the accuracy and then once for the power. Whatever one works best for you. I will probably put out a dedicated video on the new kicking and the best ways to do it, so be on the lookout for that very soon. We do still have the three different passing styles or types from Madden 24 and Madden 23. You can toy around with which one you're going to be most comfortable with. Don't just use a setting because everybody else is. For me personally, I like the placement and accuracy, and you can see the three different descriptions of the different passing types. You have placement, you have placement and accuracy, which gives you a lot more control, and then you have classic passing, which basically will give you the least amount of control on throwing the football. So for me, like I said, placement and accuracy, I set my pass lead increase to small, and then the reticle speed is 10 out of 20. I would just recommend, if you're not familiar with any of these, going into practice mode and trying each one out to get a feel for which one works best for you. We have the 20th anniversary of the hit stick, and a new feature is the hit stick reloaded, which is going to penalize you if you try to make a lot of hit sticks out of position or in not ideal situations. And there's a new feedback meter, and you can toggle the different mechanics on the hit stick feedback within this settings menu. So you can show it for the user only, where the quality or the timing on this. So this means that the player that you're controlling, it will only show the feedback for that player. You can show it visible for everybody, you can hide it for everybody, and again, you can keep it on user only, but I just wanted to show you the new feedback system for the Hit Stick Reloaded. In this same settings menu, over to the right of game options, you have crossplay. You can turn this on or off. If you ever run into a lot of connection issues, you might want to disable it. This allows you to either play against or not play against people on a different console. So I'm on PlayStation 5. If I turn this on, I would only play against other PlayStation 5 users. If I keep it on, I could eventually match up against PC users or Xbox users. So again, if you're having connectivity problems, this is a place to start. Now let's jump onto the football field and give you some more gameplay tips. Now, you can do a lot of these things in practice mode. When you're on the main Madden 25 menu, you're going to go down to training camp and over to team practice. This will allow you to play with regular NFL teams. If you're a Madden Ultimate Team player, directly from your play tab in the MUT menu, scrolling all the way over to the right, you have a practice mode here as well. The difference is that you'll go into the practice field with your MUT team rather than a regular NFL team. Now, one thing that drives me absolutely crazy is the camera toggle. So anytime when I'm on defense and I'm trying to make multiple adjustments, a lot of times you need to use your directional pad to do so, and up and down on the D-pad by default is going to change the camera angles, and often I will find myself pressing this button accidentally right when the play is snapped, and now I'm playing defense in a camera like this, which is just certainly not ideal, or it could end up being like this, and you just get caught in the middle of a play in a bad situation. So going back to our settings menu, over to the visual feedback tab, and going down a little bit, there's the camera toggle option. Again, this is a personal preference, but I wanted to make you aware of it. I always turn this one off so I don't make those mistakes. Now, whether you're on offense or defense, you're always going to have access to different coach adjustments. These are things that you're going to have to set every single game. You don't just do it once and it stays that way forever. And you can access these coach adjustments, again, whether on offense or defense, by pushing in the right analog stick on your controller. If you look towards the bottom left of your screen, we are on offense right now, and these are the various coach adjustments that we have available to us on offense. You can fool around with the settings to your liking. I'll give you one or two examples here. For ball carrier, if you find that you're fumbling a lot, it might not be a bad idea to put it on conservative. It tells you the pros and cons for each decision, but this ultimately will limit fumbles and still allow you to run the ball, but you cannot use ball carrier moves, usually like a spin move or a juke move or a stiff arm. So again, there's a pro and a con to every one. If I put it on aggressive, we're going to have a higher chance of breaking tackles, but we will increase our fumble chances. So a lot of times you might just want to leave this on balanced. The tempo setting is a new coach adjustment, but also where you're going to find the chew clock option, which is new. This is similar in College Football 25. It's now in Madden as well. So the very first coach adjustment for tempo adjustment, if you press your directional pad one time to the left, this is how you would turn chew clock on if you're trying to get through a game very quickly. Again, these are going to be available on offense and defense. If you look towards the upper left part of your screen, you can see the various coach adjustments for defense. These also have a lot of different pros and cons to them. Being on conservative, being on aggressive, it will tell you the different things that you're risking or sacrificing by changing those settings. And one thing I do want to point out, we have a new feature we're going to talk about in a second called coverage shells, but the auto alignment to base align option is still there. This is something I'm pointing it out because it's not available in College Football 25, but you have your default, your base align, and your man align all available in the coach adjustments in Madden 25. Coverage shells are a new feature that was introduced in College Football 25 that gives you a little bit more control over the alignment of your defense. So when you're in a defensive formation, we're right now in 3-3-5. If you move your right analog stick to the right or to the left, you can see that it switches between different options. So we have cover 0, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, cover 6, and then back to default. Basically, you can mess around with these settings to your liking or maybe a scheme that you want to run, but I can come out in this double bracket man coverage, kind of formation with a cover 3 shell. And when we get on the football field or the practice field, this is what it would look like. So actually, this is what it would look like. I forgot that I had that coach adjustment set to base align, which is going to override any type of coverage shell. So this is what it would look like in a cover 3 shell. I changed it to a cover 0 shell. The alignment's a little bit different. So again, there's going to be certain plays and formations and things that you want to adjust. You don't always have to adjust it, but you do have those abilities there to do so. Now, whether you're on defense or offense, if you ever want to see the play art before the play snaps, you're simply going to hold down your R2 button or right trigger on Xbox. Now, because I'm on practice mode with 2 controllers, I'm also going to have to press up on the right analog stick to see my defensive play art. And if I go on offense and do the same thing, holding down R2 or right trigger on Xbox and pressing up on the right analog stick, we can see the play art. If you're on an online game, you don't have to hold up on the right analog stick. You would just simply hold down R2, but that's how you see your play art before the ball is snapped. When you're on defense, if you ever want to attempt to slow down a mobile quarterback, you can set up a quarterback contain. If we look at our play art in the formation and play that we're in right now, look at the defensive ends. They are rushing. If we simply double tap R1 or right bumper on Xbox, that will set up a QB contain, and you can now see those 2 defensive ends have somewhat of a bracket formation, if you will. They're going to kind of rush outside and contain the outside to keep a mobile quarterback in the pocket. You can also use a QB spy to slow down a mobile quarterback by selecting X on PlayStation or A on Xbox if you're on the player that you want to set into that spy, and then pushing your right analog stick to the left. If I show you my play art now, you can see it's like a orange circle around Nakobe Dean. This indicates that he's in a QB spy. Now, that is just one of several quick adjustments that you can make on defense in this game. To access your quick adjustments menu, you're going to hit triangle on PlayStation or Y on Xbox. And if you look to the bottom left, there's a ton of different options out there. So you can manually adjust any defensive player on the field. You're going to access your secondary by double tapping the triangle or Y button on Xbox, and then whichever defender we would want to make an adjustment to, we select their icon. If you double tap your D-pad to the left 2 times, that will impact your defensive line. And if you double tap your D-pad button to the right 2 times, that will impact your linebackers. We're going to do a bigger, deeper breakdown on all quick adjustments, but here's one for an example. Nakobe Dean, if we wanted to select him to put him in a QB spy while we're still using CJ Gardner-Johnson, we would hit the D-pad 2 times to the right. We then select Nakobe Dean with triangle, and we now can press right or left on our right analog stick to now set him in a QB spy. And you can see we did that without even selecting that player. That's how you quick adjust on defense, and that's just one small example of several other options that you can do. Again, stay tuned for a deeper dive on that. The last thing I want to talk about specifically on defense is the brand new switch stick feature. Now, this is something that's going to take a lot of practice and a lot of getting used to, but essentially, after the ball is snapped, if you have players in a zone coverage, you can switch your user in the middle of a play, assuming that the football has not been thrown. So you can see I am using Nakobe Dean right now. Once I snap the ball, we're going to push our right analog stick in the direction of the defender that we might want to switch to. And you don't have to do this, but it is an ability to switch over to another defender to catch your opponent off guard or the CPU off guard. So notice my user, the player that's indicated with a circle around them. After I snap the ball, I'm going to push my right analog stick over to the left, and the goal is to switch on to Sidney Brown over here, but in the middle of the play. So I'm roaming around with him. I'm going to press it, and now you can see I'm on Sidney Brown. If I press that right analog stick back to the right, I was then back onto Nakobe Dean before the sack happened. We'll run another play. For example, you can see my user over here. If I press up on the analog stick, now we're on this high safety. If I press down, and you can see, obviously, we don't want our opponent's quarterback to have this much time, but just simply by swapping the analog stick or pressing the analog stick in the direction of the player that I want to control before the ball is snapped or thrown, we have that ability to do it. You can always hit circle to just rotate near the closest defender to the football, and that's circle on PlayStation, B on Xbox. But if you want to flip around the secondary, that's how you're going to use the new switch stick feature to control whatever member is closest to the direction of the analog stick that you press. You can see I'm just roaming around basically every defender possible at this point in the direction that I throw it in. Now let's talk adjustments and gameplay tips on offense. So here is the play that we came out on. If you ever just want to simply audible to a different play, you're going to hit square on PlayStation, X on Xbox, and towards the bottom right, you're going to see your audible menu. So these are the different formations, or excuse me, different plays that you can call out of this gun spread flex weak formation, and you can actually adjust these. You do have to do it from game to game to game, but you can do it from the play calling menu. Now, if you don't like any of these 4 options, or you want to switch to a different formation, you can use your directional pad to the left or the right, and you will see now we're going to gun trips tight end flex, then we have gun tray open, gun stack Y off, and we have a whole new set of 4 different plays that we can select. So if I want to go over to gun bunch open tight end and run the flood play, I'll hit L1. It's going to then change my entire formation and the play that we initially came out in, and that's how you audible on offense. Now we can take this a step further and not only audible to different plays, but we can adjust different routes for our running back, our tight end, our wide receivers. To do this, we're going to hit triangle on PlayStation or Y on Xbox. We're then going to select the receiver or pass catcher that we want to change the route. So Dallas Goedert originally, which is our tight end, square over on the left of your screen, was on an in route. We're going to go ahead and select him. And now we have roughly about 9 different routes and 10 different options that we can change to put Dallas Goedert on. So if I want to make him run a corner route, we're going to press left on our right analog stick, and now you can see his route is completely changed. Now, as I said, you can do this with pretty much any pass catcher on offense. Running backs, for example, we'll select Saquon Barkley here this time. They're going to have a couple different options as far as their routes go. Number 1, because they're a running back, and number 2, because of where they might line up on the field, whether it's a slot receiver, a tight end, a running back. Formations a lot of times will have impact on that as well. But for example, if we wanted to put him on an out route, we can press left or right on our left analog stick, and you can now see that Saquon Barkley is in an out route. Now, along with hot routes is the new custom stem feature, which allows you to basically change the depth of almost any route on the field in the game. So remember the out route or corner route that we put Dallas Goedert on, we can now go with the same kind of route that we went before, where we hit triangle to select our receiver. We're going to hit square to select Dallas Goedert, and instead of changing his hot route, we're going to press L1 for custom stem. That would be left bumper on Xbox, but you want to hold it down. So don't just press it, hold it down. And now with our D-pad, while holding down L1, if we press up or down on the D-pad, we can change the length of where that corner route breaks. So you can do a really quick one. You can do one that's 20 yards down the field. You can go all the way to the end zone, and you can do this with most routes in the game. Here we have A.J. Brown on a post route breaking to the inside, and you can see we can adjust that as well. Also pre-snap, if you ever want to see the blocking assignments of your offensive line, you're going to hold down L1 on PlayStation or left bumper on Xbox, and you can see each offensive lineman and who their assignment is as far as who they should be blocking. You can also change the direction of the offensive line and where they block. You can do a half slide to the right or the left with your right analog stick. You can do a full slide to the right or the left with your left analog stick, and it will update what the blocking assignments look like. So this is a full slide to the left. You can see where everybody's directed. If we want to change it to the right, it's going to change. If we want to do a half slide, you can see the different blocking assignments based on each individual player, based on these different slides. If you ever want to double team a player, maybe a defensive tackle is causing havoc in the middle of that defensive line, you're going to press down on your right analog stick, and you will see the D2 indicator. You can now move that with your left analog stick, left or right, to select the player that you want to double team. And whenever you're on the player that you want to select, you would hit X on PlayStation or A on Xbox. With that same blocking assignment button that we just used to do the half and full slides and the double team, you can also ID the mic. This is primarily where you want to focus the center of your blocking on. It's also a tactic used to pick up a lot of blitzes in the game in prior years. You're going to do that by still holding down the L1 button or left bumper and then pressing X on PlayStation or A on Xbox. Just like the double team, you now have an M indicator for IDing the mic, and you're going to move your left analog stick to the right, the left, up, or down to select the player that you want to ID. If you ever decide to run with your quarterback and you want to avoid taking a hit, we're going to talk about sliding with your quarterback, and you can use this same tactic with running backs, with your wide receivers, your tight ends, to give yourself up so you don't take a tackle, especially with the new hit stick reloaded. This might save you from fumbling. So we're going to just run with Jalen Hurts here to the outside, and once we break the line of scrimmage, we're just going to gently tap the square button or X on Xbox, and that's how you're going to slide with your quarterback. You can also achieve the same thing by double tapping that same button, so this is the same thing, but we're going to go ahead and give ourselves up. And like I said, you can do this with any ball carrier, so if we throw it to Saquon and we want to get down, we just double tap it, and we're going to get down to avoid a hit. If you ever come out in a run play and the defense seems to be maybe stacked to the same side that you're going to be running to, you always have the option to flip your play by audibling, but a quick way to run from right instead of right over to the left is just simply pressing in direction, your right analog stick in the direction that you want to run. So again, we're coming out here, we should be running to the right. If we just press our right analog stick to the left, you can see now we quickly flip that play to an unbalanced formation because our blocker over there with our tight end in Dallas Goedert is still on the right hand side. If we flip the play, it would be a little bit more obvious, but it's a really quick way to adjust the direction that you're going to be running the football in before you snap it. And our final tip for this video, if you ever want to be toxic and celebrate in the middle of a play, this is how you do it. So you're going to hold down both the R2 and L2 button, that's right trigger and left trigger on Xbox, plus hold down the X button on PlayStation or A on Xbox, and you'll get animations like this. Now, you can still steer your player with the left analog stick, and if I'm running down the field and then I start it, you know, he'll do some different animations. That's definitely a new one, carrying the ball like that. But that's how you celebrate in Madden 25 going into the end zone. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. My name is Popular Stranger. I'm out. Peace.